About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
Good evening, everyone. It's Jim here at Tutor HQ. A warm welcome to our 10th live AQA A-Level Psychology revision blast. It's amazing. We've made 10. How fantastic is that? Now, you may notice something odd on the screen here. We were going to have Lara and Laura, but the good news is Laura is just arriving as I speak. Let's see whether we can get Laura involved straight away, shall we? Shall I do that, Laura?
Yep, get her in.
Light magic, almost. Hang on. We have Laura. That was good timing, Laura. Well done.
Hello,
Perfect timing.
everybody.
Laura, we've just finished the session. How did you think it went?
Oh, I thought it was the best one yet.
Perfect timing. Well, anyway, welcome to Lara in the middle and Laura on the right. Two familiar faces to everybody else who joined us here for our previous live revision blasts. Loads and loads of people joining us here on the for the first time, of course. Lots of people are joining us here live on YouTube and also on Facebook. If you're watching on replay or video, you'll get a chance to pause the video when we're going through these activities. But everybody who's with us live is under a bit of time pressure. We've got a variety of activities. Lara, do you want to give us a flavour for what we're going to cover tonight? And then we'll crack on with the first activity.
Of course. So obviously tonight is we're starting our paper 3 topics. So we're doing aggression today. Laura and I are very much going to kind of take it in turns to do the games. But like Jim has said, you are going to be on a time limit. Those of you that are in the live that are going to interact, hopefully you can interact by typing your answers into the chat box and get the best out of the session, basically. And like Jim said, those of you that are watching it on catch up, just pause the video when we start the questioning, and then you've got time to answer the questions.
Superb stuff. Just to mention, we're also live on Facebook as well tonight. And if you're watching live on Facebook, use the comments box in the live stream to add your responses so that Lara and Laura can see how you're getting on. Superb stuff. Shall we make a start with our first activity? Here we go.
Yep, let's go for it. Okay, so you have to give me 3 factors that can increase the likelihood of aggression according to the frustration aggression hypothesis theory. You're on a time limit for this, guys, so have a little think, then pop your answers into the chat box when you're ready. Okay, so time is up. Yeah, we've got a couple of responses coming in. Anybody else want to give the answer a go? 3 factors that may increase the likelihood of someone becoming aggressive according to the frustration aggression hypothesis. Excellent, Leah. Yeah, really good. So Leah, let's just elaborate on that a bit. Yeah, so some of us are saying frustration. It is a tough question, you're right. So how much the goal has been blocked? Yeah, maybe elaborate on that for me, Leah, a bit. The level of frustration, how close you were to the goal. Now, that whole how close you are to the goal is a key variable here. That's actually referred to as proximity, but you've explained that really, really well. So if we have a look at the 3 answers, and we're just going to kind of elaborate, I'm going to explain these 3 factors to you guys. So we've got proximity to the goal. So as Leah's rightly identified, the closer you are to your goal, the more likely you are to be aggressive if there's an obstacle that blocks you from getting that goal. Okay, so for example, if we take the example of being in a queue, let's say you're in the supermarket, you're right close to paying for your groceries at the checkout point, but someone pushes in front of you. You're more likely to be aggressive there because you're closer to your goal than if there was a really long queue and maybe someone pushed in at the front that was far away from you because you're all the way at the back. You're more likely to be aggressive because you're closer to your goal, according to this theory. Okay. The second factor is whether the aggression is justified. So another example I'll give you, which is an example that's used by a few studies actually. If there is a bus that passes you and you're standing at the bus stop and it doesn't look full and it passes you, even though you've asked for it to stop and put your hand out, you might be justified, we could argue, in being aggressive, right? However, if the bus going past you says in training or not in service or it's full capacity and it goes past you and doesn't stop, then you could say it's not going to be justified for you to be aggressive, okay? Because they have a justified reason as to why they haven't stopped, okay? 3, if you believe being aggressive will remove the obstacle to the goal, then you're more likely to be aggressive. So, for example, let's take the first example with the queue in a supermarket. The person that's pushed in front of you, if you believe shouting at them and calling them out is going to remove them and therefore you'll be closer to your goal, you're more likely to do that. If you think, actually, you know what, there's no point in saying anything, they're not going to move, then you're less likely, obviously, to be aggressive. So if you don't think be aggressive is going to remove the obstacle, then you won't be, and vice versa. So yeah, quite a tough one there, but there are 3 variables that do increase the likelihood of someone becoming aggressive according to this particular model. So quite a tough one to get started with. Let's go for another one. So give me identify the 3 theories under media influences for aggression. So 3 theories for media influences. Off we go. Okay, so well done, those of you that have typed your answers. Again, another tough one, and I think students generally, because it's the last topic in terms of the spec and in the textbook, can be quite difficult to remember. Matthew, really good. You said cognitive priming. Matthew, or anyone in the room, can we elaborate on cognitive priming? What does that mean? That is one of the answers, so really well done for that. But what is cognitive priming? Can anybody remember any of the other theories as well? So we've got one by Matthew. Can anybody elaborate on that? What is cognitive priming? Good. We've got another theory here. So desensitization, really good. Well done. So and disinhibition, really good. Well done. Perfect. So we've got all three there. So that's really good, guys. So let's talk about these theories. Okay, let's get some theory, some knowledge here down. So if we start with cognitive priming, this is basically where we have constant exposure to aggressive media, violent media, and that basically what it does is it primes our thoughts, it activates, if you like, our thoughts about violence, which prime us, if you like, with associations in our memory pathways. So again, cognitive it's to do with our thinking processes, our thoughts. Desensitization is basically where media violence may lead to aggression by removing an anxiety, if you like. So the more violence, if you like, that's watched, the more acceptable, more okay we are with it. Okay, so we become desensitized towards watching violent or aggressive media. And lastly, we've got our disinhibition. So disinhibition is where we are exposed to, again, aggressive media, violent media, and that basically legitimizes, if you like, the use of aggression, and therefore it undermines our usual inhibitory social sanctions. So there are three theories, if you like, for media influences, but just something to remind yourselves of, that don't forget in media influences, you've got obviously media influences specifically also on computer games as well. So you need to know that specifically, just to remind you. Really good answers there, Kieran, really good, because it comes normalized. Yeah, perfect, well done. Okay, our next game here, this is a new one actually, we haven't done this one together. This is the chili quiz. So you're going to have 30 seconds to answer 3 questions this time. So you've got to be really quick here, guys, if you're thinking and typing. Each question, as you've probably guessed from the mild, spicy and hot, has a different level of difficulty. So you can award yourself points basically based upon the ranking. So if you can answer the first question, which is mild, that'll be a point. The second question, spicy, and the third will be 3 points, which is hot. So these are our 3 questions. Identify the areas of the limbic system involved in aggression. What is meant by MAOAL and MAOAH? And lastly, explain what is meant by a sign stimulus with regards to FAP. All right, guys, good luck. Off you go. Okay, we've got one answer. 2 answers here. Leah, for number 1, you've put amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus. Really good. And Eloise as well, you've got it correct. Any other answers? So so far we've got answers for mild. No one's going to attempt to do the spicy or hot. Excellent. MAOAL is the low variant gene. Perfect. Really good. So we've got a spicy. 3. Muscan, a stimuli releases a FAP, which is an innate behavior. Very good. Well done. That's correct. But what is a sign stimulus? Yes, can we tempt you with some hot? Yeah, number 1, amygdala. Yeah, correct. Well done. So I think all of you seem to be quite confident with the mild one. So identifying areas of the limbic system involved in aggression, correct, is the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus. And also within kind of limbic system neural mechanisms, you've also got serotonin, which you can include. And don't forget, for hormonal, for the biological explanation, you've got testosterone. For spicy, number 2, who did we have for that? RA, TW. MAOAL is the low variant gene. Yeah, so quite correct. And the MAOAH is high levels of MAO. And we're going to talk more about MAOA as the session goes on. But it stands for monoamine oxidase A. And it's the low variant that is associated with aggression. And our last one, our hot, what is meant by a sign stimulus with regards to FAP? So a sign stimulus, okay, is a specific trigger for a fixed action pattern. And a fixed action pattern, I think someone said here that it's innate. Yeah, Muscan, you said it was innate. Well done, it is. So an example would be Tim Bergen's stickleback fish experiment. The red underbelly of a stimulus, doesn't even need to be a fish. If you've seen the experiment, the video footage, triggers an attack, because the stickleback fish has a red underbelly, and anything with a red underbelly triggers that fixed action pattern. So the red underbelly is the sign stimulus in that example there. So quite a tough one, the hot spicy question there, but well done. All of you had a really good go at those 3 questions. So we're going to move on now. I think Laura's going to take over on the 3-2-1 game.
Yeah, thanks, Lorna. Hi, everyone. So moving on, we're going to show you 3 questions or 3 statements, if you like, and you've got 2 minutes to answer the questions. So if we just show you the 3 to begin with. So when the time starts, I'd like you to think of 3 issues and debates that can be applied to the neural/hormonal explanation. So think about biology, but each side of an issue in debate is only going to count as half. So, for example, reductionism doesn't count unless you can tell us the other half, so reductionism and holism. So 3 separate issues in debate. Think of 2 methodologies that investigate genetic influences of aggression, so 2 ways it's done, and 1 study, and this is a tricky one that can be used for both topics on aggression and de-individuation and social influence. So, your 2 minutes, let's see your answers in the chat. Start now. Off you go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, so time's up. So we've got some answers in the chat. Let's have a look. So if we start with 3, first of all. So here we're asking for 3 answers. So your options could be, I mean, to be honest, there's more, but these are any 3 that you could suggest. Nature versus nurture, determinism and free will, idiographic and non-methetic. So if you've got others, you're not necessarily wrong. You just need to be able to justify and really elaborate in your A of 3. So I can see Leah has mentioned biological reductionism. That's good. And you've mentioned holism, which is the other side of the debate, which is great, good practice. Nature, you've said, as it says, nature versus study. I'm going to assume you mean nature versus nurture. And determinism, yeah. So as long as you've mentioned determinism and free will as well in your actual essays, that would be best practice. So does anyone else put anything there? I think that's our dominant answer. So why could you talk about nature and nurture? Well, the neural hormonal explanation is biological. So that's a natural opportunity for you to talk about the nature versus nurture issue and debate. So this theory would fall on the side of nature. And what you want to do in your evaluation is counter that by saying, well, actually, we know there's a lot of reasons for aggression that aren't biological. For example, not all frustration aggression is biological in origin. Biological determinism you could have there. And remember, determinism isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you're right. But our consequence with this is that we are ignoring free will. And if we now say, well, everyone who's aggressive is aggressive because of their genetics or because of their hormones or their brain, then we'd potentially have to let everybody into jail. So there's why it's a big, massive issue, because we're saying it's not free will and so on. Idiographic and non-methetic. Tricky one, the slips up students sometimes, but this would be on the side of non-methetic. I don't think anyone's got this one on the chat. Non-methetic, because we are putting some general rules out there of why people might be aggressive without really considering all those individual differences that matter, like gender, for example, like if you engage in aggressive sports or not, and so on. So lots more to think about. Issues and debates is a separate topic, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't be bringing it into aggression to really build up that evaluation. Let's have a look at number 2, or two ways that genetics is investigated, and we did get some correct answers there. So well done to Eloise. You've named twin studies and adoption studies. So well done. 2 different methods of investigating genetics. Family studies is another option. Generally, when students write about family studies, it can be a little bit waffly. Twin studies are really good because there's some clear methodology. Adoption studies are good because there's some clear attempt to separate nature and nurture. So good methodology is mentioned. And then finally, the last one, we wanted one study that could be used for both the individuation and social influence. And with this split, people, so some of you have said Ash, some of you have said Milgram, some of you said Zimbardo. The correct answer is Zimbardo. So we know we can use Zimbardo for conformity to social roles. Why has it got a place in de-individuation? Well, if you think to the study, they were all wearing the same uniforms. Plus, they lost their name and they all became the number that they were assigned. So there's a couple of references there to de-individuation. So well done to those who were able to answer those. It looks like it might be an area that you need to go over for some of you. So definitely use those tutor to use study notes that are already in the chat. Let me hand you back over to Laura.
Okay, guys, well done. Some really good answers coming in there. We're going to play the categorize game now. So you're going to have 60 seconds to separate the 8 key phrases and place them into the categories. So we're looking at here 2 models, importational model and the situational model. So you're going to have 60 seconds starting now. Excellent. We've got correct answers streaming through. I feel like this is maybe a theory that maybe we're a bit more confident on. We have the know-how for. So if we reveal the answers then for our categorise, pop them into the correct titles. Excellent. So you can see, I think a lot of you got this one. Situational model 1, 4, 8 and 2. So yeah, overcrowding, heat, noise, inadequate living conditions is what can cause, if you like, prison violence, prison aggression. And the importational model is, if you like, our dispositional model. So it's it's not a personality, it's basically the idea, as the name states, that a prisoner will import their already existing traits and behaviours just into the setting of a prison. So what's concerned with this is subcultures, a lot of gang culture. It's innate, have low self-control, and genetics can also be part of that in terms of importing those traits and behaviours into a new setting. So really good, guys, getting the right answers there. Quite a few of you got the right answers, so well done. But do remember, with situational, that is to do more with the environment. Okay, so situational is environmental and importational is an existing thing within the person already. Okay, we are now going to go over to the next game, which I believe is our red herring with Laura.
Thank you. Some really good answers there to that one. Okay, so you may have seen red herring before. So on the screen, we're going to have 4 items and there's a theme to them, which you can look at the bottom. However, it's not that easy. One of them is the odd one out. So what I want to see in the chat quite quickly is you telling me which is the odd one out. So for example, let's look at our first one. So which of the 4, A, B, C, and D, is the odd one out? One of these does not belong. So not only do you have to figure out which is the odd one out, but you also need to be able to figure out why. Let's see some answers in the chat. Tricky, this one, but if you think about it carefully, you should be able to reach an answer. Let's see, you can put in the chat, first of all, who's going to be our first to answer and first to get it right. Cheyenne thinks it's C. Muskan thinks C. Okay, Muskan says C because it's less likely for females to carry the MAOA gene. Good justification. All right, let's see which the answer is, because we all seem to be saying the same thing. And well done to everybody who did put C. So MAOA does affect males more so than females, which is why C is wrong. It is passed on in families. And this is the thing with MAOA, even though it is actually an enzyme, as you can see in option D, it can be caused by a fault on the gene that produces MAOA. And that's why you'll see it come up in your neural and hormonal theory and your genetics as well. Well done there, some good answers. Let's see if we can get the next one as well. Which of the 4 is the odd one out and why? We've got A, apply equally to humans and animals. B, is a type of evolutionary theory. C, ritualistic aggression can be explained by the model. And D, Lorenz is a key ethologist. Let's see if we can figure out what ties them together and which is the odd one out. So Cheyenne was our first up last time. Let's see who can knock her off the top spot. Kieran thinks D. So Kieran thinks Lorenz is not a key ethologist, maybe. Everyone else is agreeing so far. Sarah agrees. Bridie agrees. Anyone think it's potentially anything other than D? Chloe thinks it's B. Some mixed answers again. Let's see what the correct answer is. And A is our right answer. So what you should notice about B, C, and D is it's all about animals. So Lorenz is a key ethologist, and you'll know that from attachment anyway. Ritualistic aggression is something to do with the ethological explanation about why animals choose to be aggressive in a certain way for survival. And then it is an evolutionary theory. What's not true about an animal theory is that it's not equally applied to humans. So if you didn't get that one, there's still another opportunity, but well done to anybody who put A. Let's have another one, please. Same again, which is the odd one out. A, it aids survival. So can you figure out what it is that we're talking about? B, it aids in deterring the opposite sex. C, aids in acquiring food and resources. And D, this particular thing aids in acquiring mates. Figure out what it is. Figure out which is the red herring. So Muscan thinks it is B. Cheyenne's come in with a B as well, but Bridie and Sarah. Well, Sarah thinks B, Bridie thinks C. So again, split. Most answers for B. Let's see which is right. It's between C or B in the chat. And it's B that is correct. So well done. Aggression's argued to be an innate and adaptive response because, so this is all about evolution again. So aggression is believed to aid our survival, aid in our resources, our foods, our mating, and having offspring, and so on. So well done to those. Our next one, let's see if we can get more answers in the chat, please. Which of the 4 items is the odd one out and why? Maybe this is slightly easier than the other ones. Let's see if we can get some agreement. What do you think? A, B, C, or D? Cheyenne straight in there with a B. As is Rob, Sarah, Chloe. Okay. You're all thinking B. All reliable so far. Amelia, B, we don't take full responsibility. All right, let's see what our right answer is. There's a general consensus that the answer is B. And of course, you've made the link between D and individuation, so well done. All right, and one more for this. Well done, Eloise, cracking the code as to why that was the red herring. One more. Let's see it once again. Can we all get this right? Which of the 4 items is the odd one out? Think carefully. Zimbardo, Banjora, London riots, and football hooliganism. Which one of these 4 does not belong? We've got answer B from A, from person A. We've got Muscan saying B, Sarah saying D. So we're a bit split already. A few more Bs. Kieran and Sarah say B. Let's put you out your misery, see which is the correct answer, and well done to everyone who said it was B. So these are all examples that you might use or studies to demonstrate the individuation. So Banjora you might come across when you do social learning theory and aggression. So they all are related to aggression, but Banjora is not in the right place if you're talking about it in the context of the individuation. So well done there. Most of you did really well on all of that. Okay, back to Laura for one more assessment tonight.
Okay, well done, guys. We are doing our 10-second countdown. You really don't have long to answer these questions. We've got 3 questions to answer before closing the session tonight. So let's reveal the first question then. So, why is ritualistic aggression seen as adaptive? Off you go, guys. Good luck.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Okay, so we've got a few answers coming in. So why might indirectly being aggressive, if you like, ritualistic aggression or symbolic aggression be seen as adaptive? So what have we got? Sarah, okay, Sarah and Muscan first without answers. Well done. So we're talking about it allows survival, just not of the fittest, but potentially of the weakest as well. Okay, doesn't kill the same species or your own species. Yeah, so that species don't go extinct. Yeah, okay, so we're kind of along the right lines here, guys. But really, our answer here is the fact that symbolic aggression would help ensure that the organism was not harmed. So it might mean that instead of actually being physically aggressive, for example, in animal sense, we can actually see, I don't know, primates teeth baring, for example, to scare their opponents off. And by doing that, they've ascertained their dominance and status and kind of, their opponents kind of shooed away, gone away, as it were. And therefore, they haven't had to get into that physical fight. and therefore that is also aiding survival. So yeah, symbolic aggression, ritualistic aggression can also be seen as adaptive in terms of meeting that evolutionary aim of survival. So yeah, well done, guys. That's quite a tough question. Let's move on to the second one. So all right, testosterone explanations of aggression can explain gender differences in aggression. Why is this? Off we go.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Yeah, well done. Got a few answers coming through here. Sarati W were first because males have more testosterone than females. Again, Muscane, you said the same thing. Yeah, all of us with the consensus that males do in fact have more testosterone. Yeah, I think the important thing to note here is that, you know, both males and females do have testosterone. There's no doubt about that. But males, as you guys have recognised, and well done for that, have much higher levels. And we know from this hormonal theory that higher levels of testosterone are implicated in aggressive tendencies. So really well done for identifying that, all of you. Well done. Let's go over to our last 10-second countdown question then. This comes up in a lot of other topics. Okay, so I'm hoping we're all going to nail this. So identify the 4 mediational processes according to SLT.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Excellent. Well done. We're on fire. Eloise, you got in there first with that one. So we've got Eloise has said attention, retention, repetition, and motivation. Muscan, attention, retention, motivation, reproduction. Yeah, we've got some variations of sort of one of those there. Yeah, you guys have done really well here. You seem to know this, which is really encouraging because it does come up a few times at SLT, and obviously it is in your approaches section, which you all get assessed on in paper 2. So let's reveal the answers. We've got paying attention. We're retaining it in our long-term memory because sometimes we don't imitate straight away. We might imitate at a later date when we find ourselves in a similar situation. Production or reproduction, both the same. And lastly, motivation, where we may discuss the concept of vicarious reinforcement. So really good for identifying those 4 mediational processes. I think this is quite a tricky question. Often enough students don't marry up the fact that these 4 terms are actually the 4 mediational processes. So just make sure you've paired that up and remember that attention, retention, production, motivation are mediational processes of social learning theory. Excellent, guys. Really good for tonight. We've got some really good answers for paper 3, and we'll be continuing with paper 3 over the next coming weeks as well. I think next week will be schizophrenia. I think we're doing next week. So
yeah, this time next week for those of us joining us live, that should be another popular one. I mean, once again, they're on fire, aren't they? Team psychology every Wednesday. They get quicker and quicker, but fantastic answers as always. Really enjoyed that. And what we'll do is we've posted a few links into the live chat. We'll add those links, for example, to the aggression, the study notes, and to the key terms we've mentioned. We'll add those to the comments section of the YouTube video, where a replay will be available within about 5 nanoseconds of this live stream finishing. So we'll do that tonight. And if you want to download all the PowerPoints of this session and the previous 9 sessions, loads of great stuff that Laura and Lara and Anna and the team have put together. Go to tutor2u.net/live, and then use the filter on the website there, Psychology A-Level, for Psychology A-Level, and you'll be able to download all the PowerPoints and watch all the videos time and time again, and maybe pick up some other subjects.
The study notes, I can't recommend the study notes enough. That's all you need in the one place as well. So at this point in time, you don't want to be sat with all your books and all your handouts. You want condensed stuff, and the study notes are spot on for that.
Fantastic. Well, as I say, Laura, I'll make sure that that link is posted on. Well, if you're watching on Facebook as well, we'll add it to the comment section on the live stream.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff, as always. A great session. It's amazing how much we cover in 35 minutes. And I know that a lot of students will end up watching this on replay and catch up. Maybe they'll have a little bit more time to respond. But Team Psych, as always, on fire. If you've enjoyed the session, if you found it useful, as always. And we never take this for granted, but we do appreciate it if you can give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. It works both ways. And that helps the YouTube algorithm suggest this session to other AQA psychology students. And if you're able to join us next week, that would be fantastic as well. But for now, from Lara and Laura and myself, have a great evening. Hope your studying is going well. And we'll see you later.
Bye, everyone. Good luck with your exams.
Cheers.